Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's additional meeting of the Prosperous Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Today's date is Wednesday, the 22nd of November, and a later time of 2:30. We'll go straight into the agenda. So, do we have any apologies for today? Jonathan?
Apologies, Chairman, from Bernard Williams and Charlotte Atkins.
Okay, thank you. Are there any others that we're aware of? No? Okay. Item 2, are there any declarations of interest for today's meeting from members? If we go through the agenda and you feel that you need to declare, make sure that you do when we get to that agenda item, please. Item 3 is the minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of November.
Move, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Smith and Councillor Hayden to second.
It's just to confirm I can hear.
We can hear you, Councillor Smith.
I'd say please.
Okay, so we'll get into the meat of today's meeting. Item 4, which is the Staffordshire History Centre update, and welcome Victoria and ladies. It's all ladies today. So welcome over to you, Victoria.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and thanks very much for having us here this afternoon at this later time. And I hope everyone was able to go and visit the work that's going on at the William Stock Library and the New History Centre as well. And I have to say that it's so close to our hearts, and we've seen it. I mean, Joanna here has lived and breathed this project. I'm talking years, actually. It's taken us that long to get this off the ground, and it's like her child, and it's almost, we're so proud of it, aren't we? So I hope that you enjoyed it as well. And I think we're going to show you a video shortly, time-lapse video. So should we do that first?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's let us see the screen. We've seen you. I know we've had the speed videos of it, it's great for that.
Isn't it good? And it took me such a long time to learn how to play that tune on piano, but we've got there in the end. But I think you can see actually how much progress has been made since the start of this February this year, which is when we came here to your scrutiny committee just to talk you through what we were doing online and so on. So, and I think that, you know, you'll recognise where it was that you were standing in the square part in between the two buildings, and see just how far we've got. And that structure, stronghold, is actually 15 metres high. And the video really doesn't express the tribulations and trials that the developers have gone through, paperways have gone to deliver what we see now. I think that they were brushing away sort of pools of water at one stage during floods and things like that. So it's just really, really remarkable. I'm really proud of it. So just going backwards to when we started, as you know, we started building, I think, was it in February? Yeah, 1st of February we started the build. The 4-storey extension, 15-metre tall concrete extension for the strong rooms, as you've seen today. You've seen the video. I hope that you would be able to share that video in your networks, because we want people to be as enthused about this history centre as we are. After all, it is somewhere for everybody in Stafford and even wider to come along and have a look at the rich history that we have here in Staffordshire. You'll have seen the William Salt Library as well, and the modern glazed entrance that's linked the two buildings once the glass is actually in there, and that's going to showcase the museum, the archives and the William Salt Library collections. And the construction is due to be completed next summer, with the actual opening in late 2024. We've shared a lot of this information with groups around the county. We've done events in Lichfield Library, doing various things there, history study days at Chasewater Innovation Centre, and we also did along Eastgate Street. We've done walking tours as well. I think that stopped last month after Halloween. So that history centre project has been made possible because of a grant of nearly £5 million from the National Heritage Fund. The total cost of the project is nearly £10 million. That's very substantial. So the work is on programme. It's progressing very well. You'll have seen the strong room floor slabs have been fitted up to the 3rd floor now, and we're joining them onto the existing strong rooms, awaiting a method statement for that. As you've seen, the courtyard roof is on, the drainage is complete, and plasterwork's also begun. Work, as you've seen, has already started in the William Salt Library building with repairs to stabilise the structure and to repair the floors and windows. And we did have some fun with the floors. One that under the floorboards was just soil, and I think we had to go through all sorts of different organisations to make sure it was safe for us to continue work on that. And that took quite a long time. We've reached an agreement with the landowner on the adjacent site to allow us access to the strong rooms, because we're having difficulty getting our staff to be able to park there and to get in there. And we're having regular catch up and comms so that we can let them know what it is we're doing, so people come along for the ride with us, if you like. We're doing a lot of work digitally. We're procuring a new website and a digitisation of the 1948 aerial photos. We're still awaiting sign-off. Well, we've got the time-lapse video now, as you've seen. There's so much more going on in terms of interpretation and evaluation. We've got the silent exhibition that was running last month. Object and document selection for the curated wall display that Joanna identified to you along the back wall. That's nearing completion. We found an FCC coat of arms that was actually on the side of the existing building, which it's huge, and I want it, but I'm afraid I can't have it, and we have to put it out through the proper channels. But there are 2 of them. One's going to be added to the museum collection, and the other one I think is probably going to be bid for and sold somewhere. And then we're going on to the actual activities and the engagement of volunteers that we've had. So we had Heritage Open Day within the History Festival. That was quite successful with 68 or more people attending. As I said, we did the first walking tour of Eastgate Street. That was really well received as well. We've done quite a lot of testing with schools for the exhibitions as well. And very positive about where we are on this. We are going to continue to ask you to come and have a look at the site and hopefully be there once it's opened as well. I think pretty much that's it from me, but if you have any questions, we'd be very happy to answer with the help of my beautiful experts.
Ladies, have you got anything else you wish to add, Jo?
Just want to say thank you again for visiting the site. It's Victoria said, it's been sort of 10 years from the initial idea to actually getting the project off the ground. As well as without the Heritage Lottery funding, we couldn't have done it without the County Council's support and commitment, not just the funding, but as you saw when through the tour, there's a lot of other people that supported us: property services, comms, finance, legal. You know, this is a whole team project, as well as obviously the archives and heritage team. So I do think it will have a really significant impact in the town. In the events that we've done in the summer, there's been lots of enthusiasm, particularly from families, which is an audience that the Archive and Heritage Service didn't really engage with before. I think you had some information from my team members about how many people we've managed to reach over the summer working with our library service. So I really think it will make a difference, not just to Stafford, but to across the whole county. And there'll be, you know, lots of really significant outcomes, not just for the collections, but for the people that we'll be able to work with and have make a real difference to.
I think the only thing to add, and building on what Jo said, is the potential economic impact that this will have for not just Stafford but also for the county. So it will become a real destination, I feel, for us, and a real opportunity to promote the collections that we have got, but to really encourage people to come in and have a look at it.
Brian?
Thanks. In the presentation, I think what you've done, look round is great, etc. But you say it's going to be great for Staffordshire. I would imagine that straight off it's great for those that are actually interested in archives and other books and stuff like that. But how do you reach out to the vast numbers of people that wouldn't ordinarily? You know, what's the plan to reach out to try and get greater involvement from the vast majority of people who perhaps aren't aware, in fact, of Salt Library and the archives?
I think I'll pass over to Joanna in a second, but I think a lot of it's obviously down to communications and promotions, isn't it? And I think over the last few years, we've seen that there are those people who are interested in history in Staffordshire and archives. They're already signed up to it. There's a lot of interest from those who are interested in it. But I think because this is all part of the regeneration of Eastgate, and this is a fantastic story for Staffordshire, this is where our comms will come into it. But I'm sure Jo can say more about it.
Yeah, it's partly the comms. We've been appointing a marketing consultant to help us really push that before opening. But I think it's also the activity plan that runs alongside it, which we've also received funding from the Heritage Fund for. That's going out across Staffordshire, going to libraries, working with schools, going out to schools in all parts of the county to talk about what we can do with the History Centre, because it's not just about straightforward history. People are interested, you know, in industry or in art, you know, and our collections are really wide ranging, you know, social history, history of women, and local community history as well. So whilst we've got to have a centre somewhere, and obviously want people to visit the History Centre, we will still be reaching out through our engagement programme as we have been doing in the last sort of couple of years.
Yeah, I raised the point earlier when we were in the centre about why were we not having a box of history that was going to put behind. And my feeling is that it's all very well for us to say with modern technology, everything that's happened in the 100 years to come will be clearly recorded within different systems. But one also has to remember that Lichfield District Council can't open its planning applications from 25 years ago. So, you know, let's not reckon that people will be able to look at what is theoretically a paperless county. If we haven't got a hard copy explanation of what Staffordshire was about in 2023, 24, 25. And that's there to be opened in 100 years' time. That hard copy, providing the people in this country are still speaking English, and I hope there will be, then they're going to be able to look at the history as we saw it at this particular moment. And I don't think we should rely on electronic communications, whatever they may be, because things will move on. It won't be the same in 100 years' time. You only have to look at the fact that I was brought up on 78 10-inch records, and now I have a little thing that I stick in my car, and it puts my entire jazz collection of 5,000 tracks onto my system in the car. So, well, you know, we can't bank on things being the same. Hard copy is going to be something that we need to do, and I really think that we ought to look at having a magic box to be opened in 100 years' time.
Well, great idea. I think there is no comparison to vinyl, first of all. I'll just put that out there. But, you know, our strong room is going to hold all our documents and maps, isn't it? And I was so fortunate a couple of years ago to actually be able to look at. I wasn't able to touch it because it was in protected plastic or what have you. But the oldest document that's ever been seen in Staffordshire, I think that was from Burton, wasn't it? It was a land registry or a deed or something like that. So all of that is still there, and I think that people who ask to see them, particular documents, can make appointments and they can see certain bits and bobs that they want to see. So I think you're quite right, but if you're asking for a time capsule, I'm not sure if that's something that we can consider or going to do, Joanna.
No, we haven't considered a time capsule. We have on our previous extension, which got dug up and wasn't in great condition, so I think it was not retained. I think, as I said on the tour, my view that the time capsule is the strong room that will hold over 1,000 years of history. And you're right, Victoria, our document is from Burton. It's the World Corporate spot, which confirms the granting of land down Burton Abbey. And children and adults alike are amazed at how robust it is, as you say, compared to digital documents which don't always last as well. But that's still freely available, and anyone can order that and look at it. So yeah, we're firmly focused on the strong rooms being out and the time capsule, and the exhibition space and the public access space has been how we share that information. We do incidentally have capacity to take digital documents. That's as a sector and a service that we work on. It's not easy to preserve digital documents, but there are strategies, and there's also technology to help you to do that. It's challenging, but it's something that we are able to do as a service.
I think the time capsule's a great idea. I think you should look at that, ladies. I think it'll be great, but don't let Victoria enjoy it, because it'll be filled with pink fluffy stuff. Just for me, I think you've already touched on it. Communication is the key. We say this at every meeting about everything we discuss. If we can't get our message out there, then we might as well not bother. So, you know, it's as important to us as members to get the message out there to people. And if that video can be shared, that yeah, because we haven't got that, that'd be great. No, I certainly haven't got it. So
we'll make sure you get that.
We can put that out on our socials and stuff. I was going to say, the website, please ensure that it's not as clunky as the Staffordshire County Council one, because the very people that are going to try and be using it are going to want simple and easy, click here, click there, not have to go through layers and layers of whatever.
Pages, yeah.
Yeah. Really pleased that we managed to get the visit in today, because I think site visits are how you put everything into proportion and how you can see what it's going to be like when it's finished. And I think from everyone here, we can all see the end result, even though it's not finished yet. And I can't wait to go back into it once it's done. What else was I going to say?
I think we're going to try and find either some photos or video, some video of what it looked like beforehand. And if we can get that, we'll bring that to the future meeting if that's of interest to you.
Yeah, and when I spoke to the ladies, the library ladies, you know, anything that involves young people actually physically holding a book rather than one of these or an iPad when they're eating their dinner drives me insane. I would much rather see a child open a book and flick over the pages than be addicted to one of these by the age of 2.5. Sam.
I just wanted to say thank you because I missed the first meeting. I wasn't at the first meeting when it was first brought. So for me, it's all new. It was a lovely tour. I enjoyed it. And also the lady beforehand that we were speaking to, Sarah, she was saying that they were already networking and they were already going into schools and going into other libraries and they were already bringing that story out, weren't they?
Yeah.
She was a lovely lady and she was very, very informative in what she was telling us. So thank you for that as well.
I'm telling you, the whole team is magnificent. I can't fault any of them. It's incredible. Even the questions, the very piercing questions from Councillor Hutton, as we were wandering around, and they knew the answer to every single one like that. And it's, you know, as I say,
These don't need to get buried under the topic.
they've lived and breathed this project, and you know, there's a millimetre of that site that they don't know. So, you know, opportunity really to thank the whole archives team for everything they've done, and can't wait to see it come to fruition.
Any more questions, members?
They're going to be invited to the party.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
Pick on.
It's not really a question, but how Sam was just talking about, Sarah was saying about the networking. I think that should be part of the communication story, that you are working with Shubra and the National Trust and the way that you're sharing referrals. So I know that if they can't fit you in here, they're saying feed off down to William Salt and vice versa. I think that should be part of your communication as well.
Are you all, have you all signed up to the regular update that we get, the History and Archives update that we get, like the newsletter? Because if not, we can send you that information so you can see, because we send that out every so often, so.
We should go to all councillors, I think.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go up to the beginning. So obviously the recommendations that we've got for today are that we've reviewed the progress of the project since February 2023. And I think, you know, having that site visit just brings it up to life. Comment on the capital work and activities today. Well, congratulations on your funding streams because they're not easy to do. And you've done really well to get the money that you've got, as well as the support you've had from Staffordshire County Council, and received the key findings from the independent evaluation report. The report speaks for itself, and there were no questions on that. So if we're happy to move those 3 recommendations.
Sure.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you, Victoria and the ladies. As is the Victorian show today, we'll just go back to the agenda. It's great when we have the cabinet member and they just get to stay for everything. So item 5 is the Staffordshire Libraries and Art Service performance 22-23. Victoria again.
And just going back to what you were talking about before with children and phones, I mean, I expect I'll get to that point in a little while, but the summer reading challenge that we held here in Staffordshire was so phenomenally successful. And the refurb of Tamworth Library, we walked into Tamworth Library, it was buzzing with lots of children who, you know, the mother was going, look, it's time to go now. And they didn't want to go, they were crying, oh, I'm going to stay and do the activities and so on, because it's such a beautiful, vibrant, you know, family-friendly place to go. So much more of the reading, that's absolutely what we're after. So just moving on then, the report that you have in front of you highlights how the Libraries and Art Service has recovered from the pandemic and how it's delivering a blended programme of physical and virtual activity to support our county council outcomes. We're asking you to note the performance of the Libraries and Art Service to support the delivery of Staffordshire County Council outcomes, to note the refurbishment of the library building projects so far and provide comment, and to provide comment on the overall direction of travel for the Libraries and Arts Service. Now, as you know, the Libraries and Arts Service is supporting the County Council's priorities to grow our economy by establishing start-up information hubs in libraries, by tackling climate change emergency, by encouraging communities to change behaviours through climate action themed events and activities, and by reconnecting people with nature, encouraging good health and well-being by improving health and digital literacy in local communities, enabling people to access library services more easily by enhancing the digital library offer, by supporting every single Staffordshire child to have the best start in life and supporting schools with teaching and learning in the classroom. Now, our Libraries and Arts Service is working with our strategic property and Staffordshire Moorlands District Council colleagues to update and modernise our Nicholson Institute, Leek Library, after a successful application to the District Council to the Government's Levelling Up Fund programme. That successful application to Arts Council England for Libraries Improvement Fund Round 2 will enable a refresh of the library offer at Burton Library. A funding application has been submitted to Arts Council England for Libraries Improvement Fund 3, we'll call it LIFT 3, to update and modernise also Womborne Library to meet the needs of the local community. And as the Libraries and Arts Service looks towards 2024, the service will continue to develop the library offer based around the universal library offers highlighted in section 1 of your report, and which will help to support Staffordshire County Council's priorities. The service will continue to deliver the grant-funded projects and will seek opportunities to improve our library buildings. And the Libraries and Arts Service is waiting the publication of the new public library strategy by Baroness Elizabeth Sanderson of Welton to see how this will shape our public library offer in Staffordshire. So I had the opportunity to visit some of our local libraries. I went to Tamworth, obviously, to look at the wonderful offer that we have there now. I've been to Burntwood, and I've been to a few of the libraries that could do with some work. They are still wonderful, vibrant places for us to be, and we feel that libraries are really the front door of the county council. I mean, you can't really count the waste recycling centres, can you? So in terms of high streets and town centres, we are the front door of the county council. So we want to provide an offer that looks attractive to people, and people say, we're proud that we've got this this library, fantastic library service in our village and town. So that's really it from me. I don't know if there are any questions. I have Sue Ball here with me, and obviously Catherine Mann as well, if there are any questions that you want to ask.
So have you got anything you want to ask, Catherine?
I think that we've been working really hard to recover from COVID. Of course, libraries were closed and our offer went online. So what we've been looking at doing is that hybrid offer. So the physical offer, but also maintaining hopefully those customers that joined us during COVID online, and looking at how that library offer really does support the county council priority outcomes around good health and well-being and around the economy as well, but also that best start in life as well for children and our schools as well, trying to support our schools. So we continue, it's a continuing journey of growth and looking at real opportunities and how we can develop our libraries, and be awaiting, as Councillor Wilson said, awaiting the report, the national report that will come out, and look and see how we can build our offer around that as well.
Catherine?
No, nothing.
Okay. I'm astounded that we have 43 libraries. I'm like, that's like virtually one in every town.
And just to interrupt you, sorry, but I was away with peers across the country last week in huge geographical areas where they have 5 libraries and they're all are going to close. And the offer that we have here in Staffordshire, we're so, well, I'm going to say we're lucky, but we're not lucky, because this has been done in a really wonderfully cohesive way, working with our volunteers. So, it's been a lot of hard work. Very fortunate to have that.
Yeah, obviously the Planning Library is the new refurbished library. It's an amazing space. I loved it when we went in there, and I was in there only last Monday. And we need to remember that libraries aren't just where people go and look at books. There was the bank of, which is what I mentioned earlier, the bank of computers, where people are doing PIP assessments, online, trying to apply for a blue badge online. Everything's moved online, and people are finding it difficult. So I'm really pleased that we've got those volunteers, and I sit there, I go and do an hour once a week, and just, if anybody needs to apply for a blue badge or help with the uploading of the documents for PIP assessments, and we have a housing officer that goes in as well that does helps with housing applications and bidding process. because our council offices are closed. We don't have very desk anymore. That is coming, but it's coming as part of FHSF, so really pleased. Just one question, the prison service library is externally funded. Who's it funded by? Home Office.
Part of this is what you've been.
Thanks for answering that one.
Can I ask that you extract out of everything you've said about 3 lines? I'd like to cover about startup hubs. I'd like to cover the 43 libraries and anything else that you think the general public really ought to know about the success of Staffordshire Library Service. Because I want to use in my area, I would like to promote what obviously my local borough council has done, but particularly what the county council has done. And from what I've heard today, actually, and obviously I've been going to Philip White for most of this. However, I think there's 3 things in that, particularly we've got 43 libraries, and particularly about the information hubs for starters, because that is, I don't know anybody else doing information hubs for startups. I haven't read about it anywhere else. I'm sure there is somebody else doing it somewhere, but that's so important. I think that we should be promoting that. But us as councillors, I'm not talking about, nobody ever reads the county council stuff, but they do read what councillors put out. And I would really like to have something just really simple that I can include when I'm doing a massive outreach programme in spring about how brilliant this incredibly low taxed area. And that's the other thing. We are an amazing, this county council is one of the lowest tax areas in the country, yet it meets all its statutory obligations and does amazing things like the library service. So we should be shouting about this, and nobody knows about it, generally speaking. If I go out and ask somebody in Newcastle about this, they'll say, what? Yeah, that could, and I really do believe this is such a good news story that we as councillors should be pushing that. So that's what I've asked of you, Victoria, if you could give me something, and then we'll get, I'll get Philip White to do all the other good things that this council is pushing. Really pushing for the benefit of people of Staffordshire.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hudson. And I think it would be quite easy for us just to put on a page some of the real achievements that we've done. And this isn't just local achievements. We are recognised countrywide for what we do. We have, the LGA asked to speak to people like Sue and Catherine to tell everybody what it is we do and how successful we are.
Okay.
So I went to Purton Library recently, and there was a chap there who goes in every single weekday of his life, and he sits and reads the papers for a couple of hours. They bring in the broadsheets for him, and he sits there, and he's been doing that for years. And I went to see him on his 90th birthday, and he was there holding court, and everyone brought him cakes and balloons, and it's not just a dusty place where you can lend a library book. It's a community, it's a vibrant space. And you're right, we need to promote that even more. For people like me,
Yeah.
I live and breathe it, but until there is an issue that you have to go to the council for, you're not aware of all of that good work. So very, very happy to share that with you.
Just to patronise you, let's just make it 5 bullet points.
Only 5?
Only 5.
Only 5.
That makes you work harder at picking out.
Okay.
Because there are lots of other people who want the education service who want to talk, what we're doing on businesses who want to talk, and the number of jobs we've created in Staffordshire will want. There's so many things, and it's got to be edited down. So the pressure on you. Keep it to 5 because people will then promote that. Councillors will promote it. So keep it low and
Keep
of
it
high quality.
Okay.
Keep it simple. We'll go through the kids.
And I think, yeah, it's important as well to just highlight the fact that of the 43 libraries that we have, 27 of those are run by the community. You know, that is significant. So, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, as I say, when it's a person, you know, they have, again, the bank of computers. You know, you can go in, you can apply for a blue badge, they can help you fill in an application form for a job. You know, they can teach you how to get online and use the internet. And there's no limit really to what it is they do. And you know, we are very fortunate to have those help points and those hubs here in Staffordshire.
Hello there. I'm really lucky where we are in part of our district. We've got 4 libraries, which is fantastic. But each of those libraries offer a slightly different service. So I just wondered, not more so the community run ones, if there was a model that you actually issue out and say, this is our idea, say for the summer reading challenge, between 3 of the community ones was extremely different. They all had a great experience because my children got to go to all of the libraries. But we had a different experience at all of those, but it wasn't the same sort of experience. And I could see then why they migrated more so to perhaps another library in our district. And it's not a bad thing because it was close to a park and the event all linked up. But I just wondered if that could potentially shared between the other local libraries or replicated throughout the county, that this one works really well. So this is what they do.
Some best practice.
Yeah, because it worked really well at this one particular library, and it was softer at the other. That's probably the better way of wording it. Softer at the other ones, and I know it's volunteer based, but the enthusiasm that comes from this one particular library just shines so bright. It's amazing. Hensford. That's where if I ask my children which library we're going to, it's Hensford Library every time. And I just wonder, I think they're fantastic, and all the volunteers work so hard.
Do you want to come in on that?
Yes, I will. One of the things that we do with the summer reading challenges, we call it an awareness session for library staff and volunteers, so they all come together. We normally run it round about May time in preparation for the forthcoming summer reading challenge. And I think what would be quite nice actually is to get some of the community managed libraries where it is a best practice example like Hensford to actually come and share what they do really well and why it works for them. And I think we're at that stage now where all our community managed libraries really get the summer reading challenge. They really understand it. They really see the value of it and want to see families coming in and children reading as well. So I think, yeah, it would be good to pick up on Hensford as a best practice example during that training so they can share what they're actually doing. And I think one of the important things for us as well is for our county council libraries to also learn from our community managed libraries, and I think that's, the learning goes both ways.
And with regards to nursery rhyme time or bounce and rhyme, I see that you're trying to incorporate that back out. Again, I use Hensford. That's where I went with my children. I used to go to He Plays in the autumn, but the lady that retired from doing that role. But that I thought was invaluable. So if we can get a model for that going back, other than at Hensford, can do it as well. But I think that's because it's so beneficial for the carers of the children, as well as the children as well. That social time for the adults, even if it's just for them to have a chat with another parent. I think anything we can model on that as well. And I'll use Hensford as an example again, because I found that just the location, we could go off somewhere afterwards and be together as a group, and we did migrate to different places. So I think, again, just another shout out for Hensford Library.
I'll come, if you'd like me to, I'll come to Hensford with you, and we can talk to some of the volunteers and some of the people.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, and actually the offer goes out to any of you. If there's anyone that wants, particularly Graham Hutton, if you want me to come to your library with you and do some cons or something, I'd be delighted.
Well, we've got quite a few in Newcastle.
Good.
So, I think it's two Staffordshire ones, and there's quite a few community supported ones. probably the main one in Newcastle might be the best, but I'll talk to them first anyway.
Castle House,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great library, yeah. I've been there a few times.
And talk to them and see what they'd like to do, because I wouldn't want to impose upon them. Yeah, so, but I'll ask.
Thank you.
Chairman, can I just draw members' attention to section 5, the next steps, item 38, which reads, Baroness Elizabeth Sanderson of Walton has been appointed by the government to help develop a new strategy for public libraries. The strategy will focus on new ideas to improve library service provision and will help to formulate innovative new policy ideas. The strategy is due to be published in autumn 2023 and will see the shape of future library service delivery. Now, I would only comment on that we have a community-led library in my division, which is the only library, which has got an increased footfall over what it did before. It has much more to offer than libraries have in the past. You get a very good cup of coffee and a cake there at the same time. It seems to me that that's going to be, to a large extent, the way forward. And I just wonder how we're going to make sure that the government is aware and come and look at Shenstone Library to find out how to sort out their policy in the future. The library that we have is doing an excellent job, and I think that it's almost forgotten within our library service. We promote our own and managed library service, but we tend to be very soft when it comes to promoting community-led libraries. And I think that we need to have a much stronger voice as far as community libraries are concerned, because they're great.
In terms of the strategy, what the Baroness is, in terms of the strategy, what the Baroness has been doing has been going out to different library services, looking at how library services are delivering the universal library offers, so reading, information and digital, cultural creativity and health and well-being. But also she has been investigating the different models of delivery, so the mutuals, the community managed libraries, and also what she has encouraged is all library staff to feed into her. So in Staffordshire, we put out a call for volunteers in our community managed libraries and also our library staff in our county council libraries to feed into that. So there were a couple of set questions. So we've fed that back to the Baroness so that she is aware. And she's been talking to DCMS as well, and Arts Council England, who are very much aware of the model that we use, because often what myself and Catherine have done is we've invited DCMS, but also Arts Council, and taken them on a visit to show them Shenstone and the Lichfield, simply because it's on a good commuter line from London if they're coming up, so they can do the quite compact visit, but they get to see a community managed library and they get to see one of our county council libraries and how that model works for us in Staffordshire.
Jim, I would just add to that. Literate Library is a totally different megatrix. Literate Library is fantastic. If no one's been there, it's a stunning interior that's not like any other library I've ever been in. So I think that's great that someone's going to have a look at that. But at the same time, Victoria, if you were inviting Baroness Elizabeth Sanderson to come and have a look at our library, I would be very happy to host her for a cup of tea and a cake, and you may join us.
That's nice.
Thank you. 1, 2, 5 coffees.
If we can do it, but we'll go ahead, Catherine.
We are really proud of our community managed libraries, and Shenstone, I think, is exceptional, the work they do. One of our other community managed libraries, Warrington, has put forward for a national award, and some of the volunteers won a national award that we recommended them for, so we're really pleased with that. But going back to the consultation with the Baroness, she also held some consultation events. So one of those I attended, and as part of that was able to tell people about how our community managed libraries work in Staffordshire and the support that the county council gives them, which makes them, I feel, quite successful. It's a very different model for community managed libraries across the country. Some don't get the same level of support that they do through the county council and the county council staff. And what we want to do with our community managed libraries is to continue to support them so that they can be successful, so that they can shape their offer locally, but with some guidance. That we've got some really good examples. So we heard about Shenstone, we've heard about Hensford, and what we want to do as part of that is then also support those volunteers going forward. And we were really pleased earlier this year that we did get 2 volunteers that were recognised nationally.
Any further questions? So we've got 3 recommendations that Victoria read out at the start. So note the performance of the library and art service to support the delivery of Staffordshire County Council outcomes. Note the refurbishment of library building projects and provides comment again what you've done, and provide comment on the overall direction of travel for the libraries and art service. I think we've given you plenty to go away with, ladies, and I hope that comes to fruition before we have the next update. It would be good to see where you've been visited before.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much for your attendance today. Thank you so much for the tour around. I don't think I've got too much rubbish on my boots. I need to get back into my car to drive home. But it was really informative and helped to put everything into perspective. So thank you. And you're free to leave. Thank you. So we're going to move swiftly on to item 6, which is the work for a minute. I'm going to hand over to John and proceed with this way that I do when it comes to sorting out this. It's a big list, and you can't put any additional meetings in between now and the end of the municipal year. So let me get to the right date that we're on. So we're on today. So the next meeting is the 13th of December. Do you want to just quickly run us through? I've noticed that Darren Ayres has joined us, so I'm sure he's got something he wants to say.
His apologies for being late.
Oh, that's okay.
Can I make a plea, Darryl, about the next meeting? Can you ask the people that will be presenting to us to be very succinct and to the point in their presentation? Because we've got so much to go through. And actually, I much prefer a shorter presentation that's succinct, to the point. The reading, that's fine, we can read a report, but I do not want to be taken through a report that we've just read on screen. It's just a waste of my time. And so the plea to speakers is be succinct and to the point. Thank you.
No problem.
Jonathan, do you want to take us through?
There are no items in green since the last meeting, Chairman. I was just going to highlight, as I said, the number of items on the agenda for both the December meeting and the March meeting next week.
Yeah.
You have a triangulation meeting scheduled for next week, and don't know whether you want to discuss potential for either one or a couple of these items to be subject to briefing notes rather than full reports. I don't know whether there's anything to go for that, but discussion with the cabinet members and Darryl should be able to shed some light on it.
Okay. Obviously, Wednesday the 13th of December, it's an afternoon meeting again. Sorry, guys, we've changed it because it was the 21st of December. It's Christmas week. Anybody that's got a family in a home can't do meetings in Christmas week.
But these afternoon meetings, these things still this.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and I agree with the morning meetings for those that have to do school runs and things like that, so we've got the economic recovery, renewal and transformation 6-monthly progress report.
That's important.
That's really important. Digital infrastructure update, which can be a briefing note, I believe. I'll speak to Simon Tag next week.
Same with the climate change.
Hang on a minute. Is Graham taken over as the chair? Review of schools' performance, Jonathan Price, high needs block.
That item, Chair, is actually being considered by MTFS working group, so potentially there is duplication.
We could take that on, but we'll discuss that. It's on at the minute. Local transport plan's been taken off. Natural environment strategy, again, could be a briefing note from Simon, but we can discuss that.
That's got
In his head.
Right, okay. So Darryl is here at the request of myself and Jonathan, so I'm going to bring you in here now, Darryl.
So the natural environment strategy is the county council's first environment strategy about how it protects and safeguards its environment, and it's getting signed off by cabinet in January. It's coming here on its journey to make sure you input to it. In particular, are the 10 priorities that are identified in that document the right priorities? So I think it's pretty important to discuss as opposed to briefing note, if you don't mind me suggesting.
And it's already been postponed as well, so yeah, we need to give it the kudos that it deserves, yeah. It's going to be a long meeting, so make sure you've got your coffee and your sandwiches. And then obviously the meeting after that is the 11th of January, 2nd of February and 28th of March. So this is the last meeting of this year till before Christmas. I know it's not the one in December. Okay, then, so that's the work programme. We've managed to fit quite a lot in an extra meeting as well, so I'm really pleased, and thank you members for your extra attendance. It all goes down well. Right, so we're all happy with what we've got, and as I say, myself and Peter will be at the triangulation meeting, so we'll be able to discuss. So the date of the next meeting, as I've just said, is the 13th of December at 2 o'clock. Item 8, exclusion of the public. We haven't got anything in exempt, so that's the end of today's meeting. Thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you for coming early for the site tour, and safe journey home. Thank you very much.
Yeah.